I wander through the streets, my gaze drifting over the goods on display, but nothing particularly intriguing catches my eye. Minutes slip by, and after a while, I head toward the southwestern edge of the market district. The houses there are in a far worse state of disrepair, their crumbling facades contrasting starkly with the school, which stands out with its solid, imposing walls. Inside, the atmosphere is austere, both in its sparse furnishings and the muted sounds that fill the space. No sooner do I step through the door than a man with a sour expression, his bald head tinged with grey, approaches me.
Salve. I'm afraid I cannot help you. The school is all but closed. Permanently.
I quickly make the connection that this man must be Drius, the owner of the school. At that moment, I sense an intimidating presence nearby, a feeling that intensifies as a large shadow emerges from one of the archways. What happened to the school?
I'm sorry, it's just that I've told this story so many times recently. It is slowly getting to me. In short, we had an unfortunate accident in which one of my trainees got hurt. The son of an influential man, a Tarkian diplomat who has the ear of some of the city's leaders. The man is out for revenge even though his son made the mistake. Not the school. Now he is out to destroy me. The instructors have left. I paid exploitative fines several times. I lost most of my trainees. Even though I was given a chance to clear my name, I would have to win a gladiatorial match without gladiators.
Not entirely without gladiators.
A massive orc stepped into the atrium before leaning against one of the pillars.
This is Gor'Goro, a good friend of mine.
Who sent you here? Have you come to gloat? To offer a laughable price for the school?
I have no such intentions. I am merely a simple Vagrus who has heard of Drius's unfortunate situation.
Ah well, you've got to forgive Gor'Goro here. He is very protective of his friends. As you can see, we are in no position to be of any service right now. So, if you'd excuse us.
It so happens that I have two fighters who can participate and stand alongside Gor'Goro. In exchange, I would like you to work for me. The two men exchanged a few words between themselves before Gor'Goro accepted my proposal.
I was about to leave this city anyways, and I would be honored to work for you, Vagrus.
Right. Now I'll go and set up the match with those bastards. I'll need you to be at the Hortia's Girdis fighting pit the next morning. It's where the Legio March Avenue crosses Arvorus Square.
Make sure your fighters are well rested too. We will have a rough morning.
The orc gave me a friendly pat on the back, but the sheer force behind it nearly knocked me off balance. He is truly impressive. I leave the school and return to my men for a well-earned evening of rest. The following day, I make my way to the small arena, Hortius Girdis, which pales in comparison to the grand Colosseums. It is likely used for small neighborhood matches to entertain the local population. As I reach the entrance arch, I'm greeted by Drius and Gor'Goro. The orc is brimming with energy, in stark contrast to Drius, who looks like he hasn't slept a wink.
You are here! I'm honored. Let's do this.
I detect a hint of surprise in his voice. He hadn't expected me to come. We pass through the entrance arch and walk down a few corridors that lead us to the premium seating box. There, a man awaits us, introducing himself as Praetor Paulus Antius, a minor aging magistrate, whose demeanor makes it abundantly clear that this matter is nothing but a great inconvenience to him. Beside him stands a tall, slender man, adorned with a turban, dressed in vibrant clothing and expensive jewelry. He paces around the lender, his posture exuding authority, likely the man whom Drius has wronged. Drius and the man exchange a few brief words. Just then, a movement catches my eye as two children approach, a boy dressed in a Tarkian outfit and a little girl. At the sight of her, Drius kneels down and embraces her in his arms.
His daughter. She was taken by the Praetor until the matter is resolved. As leverage.
Drius joins us, and we descend into a cavernous chamber where gladiators and fighters prepare for battle. As we arrive, two men step forward. I immediately realize that Braxius wasn't exaggerating. Their posture, their gaze, the cruel design of their weapons, everything about them tells a story of brutality, and that is precisely what we need right now. They confirm that they will follow Gor'Goro's lead. Turning around, I catch sight of the orc, dismissing Drius's attempts at offering advice.
Remember how I'm a champion of tournaments, buddy? I can see that you're upset, but let me do what I do best. I promise you, we'll get her back.
I hold back from asking questions about Drius's daughter, who is merely being used as leverage, and instead focus on strategizing with Gor'Goro.
3 gladiators, and no pushovers either. These are 3 veterans of the arena, Vagrus. Hope your guys are up to it. There will be a Murmillo and a Villas for sure. That's a tough shielded opponent, and a spear and buckler guy. I already told your fighters to give me some space in the beginning. I can charge the bastards, but I need a clear path ahead of me for that to work.
The portcullis rises, and I position myself at the arena's entrance, while the 3 men advance. As I watch the orc raise his terrifying axe under the roaring cheers of a crowd hungry for blood, one thought crosses my mind. I would never want to be his opponent. One of Braxius's men narrowly dodged the projectile aimed at him, driving his spear into the slinger in the same motion. A fierce duel erupted, and the second of Braxius's fighters managed to knock out the opponent I deemed the most dangerous, with a swift exchange of blows. Seizing the opportunity, Gor'Goro and his companions swiftly cornered and subdued the remaining 2 fighters. The first fell quickly. Perfect. Only 2 remain now, as the second gladiator regains his senses. Seeing themselves at a disadvantage, the 2 men move closer together, forcing Gor'Goro and his 2 companions to switch opponents. In doing so, numerous weaknesses and openings appear in their defense. Cornered, exhausted, and overwhelmed by the intensity of the blows and the sheer numbers, the second gladiator soon falls, quickly followed by the last. The enemy gladiators lie on the sand, bloodied, defeated, but alive. The crowd chants Gor'Goro's name with frenzy.
I won't forget this, Vagrus. I can now try to rebuild the school, and perhaps you could drop by sometime.
Once back in the fighters' hall, Drius embraces the orc in gratitude, before rushing off to reunite with his daughter.
I am a man of my world, and I'm ready to leave the city in an hour. I'll find you at your berth, Vagrus, right after I said goodbye here.
I now have 2 individuals who will tip the balance in our future journeys, and I have some information on where to find a third. It is now time for me to seek work with the houses. I gather a few of my men while waiting for Gor'Goro's arrival. Then we set out for trade. Once there, I quickly sell off my cargo of luxury wine, making a good profit. My buyer even offers to pay partly with a large world map, unfinished, yet precious and rare. I accept without hesitation and tuck it under my tunic. I also spot a large linen tent, perfect for shielding us from future storms. I take the time to converse with the merchants and meticulously record all the goods in a notebook. That's when I come across a particularly interesting deal. delivering 2 shipments of mushrooms to Arken, a small town only a few days' journey away. I strike the deal with the Loaders Guild and decide to invest based on my cargo's contents. If Arken needs mushrooms, we shall supply them in greater quantity. I negotiate the purchase of a second pack animal as well as additional provisions, allowing me to transport 2 more shipments. Once the cargo is secured, we leave the city and join the queue at the Great Gate. However, a woman suddenly calls out to us.
Apologies, Vagrus. I work for the Magistrate of Tax Collection. No need to be alarmed. I am here to present to you an opportunity. I have a message attached to some documents that need to be delivered to Arken to a client of ours. Should you take the message, you'll be compensated upon handing it over. What say you?
A fortunate opportunity for both parties. Since it is our destination, I seize the chance without hesitation and take the documents, promising to deliver it.
Thank you, Vagrus. I am sure it will be worth your time. Our client is a very resourceful man who works for a researcher of some renown. He awaits the message on the town of Arken to the north, where he rents a small apartment above a tobacco shop on Siltwade Street. His name is Leviantus.
She bows in gratitude before heading toward the gate guards. With a simple gesture, she points at us. Without a word, they let us pass without inspection. Given my dwindling resources, I decide to leave the road behind and cut straight through the arid lands, separating Torzags from Arken. With Renkailon still riding a few hundred meters ahead of the Comitatus, I allow myself this shortcut. Upon arriving in the city of Arken, we are met with a distressing sight. Priests of Gor'Goro are lashing a group of slaves, and judging by their cries of anger, this is a punishment, yet no one nearby intervenes.
We must do something, Vagrus.
Unfortunately, I can do nothing. I lack the funds to even consider purchasing 5 slaves, and resorting to violence would only bring Gor'Gorod's wrath upon us. Gor'Goro understands, but does not approve. And so, with a bitter taste in my mouth, we continue our journey through the city. Nestled beneath the canopy of the Arkoros forest, this imperial city thrives solely on the wealth of its land. Numerous artisan workshops offer precious stones and noble stone blocks, such as marble. Once close enough to the city center, our passenger departs after settling his dues. As for me, I make my way toward my clients, not before selling my goods, securing a decent profit in the process. The next day, I set out in search of Leviantus and step into Siltwade Street, where the air is thick with the sharp, bitter scent of tobacco and herbs that countless merchants try to sell me. But that is not why I am here. The innkeeper, where Leviantus is staying, seems unconcerned with her guests' privacy or security, and readily tells me where to find him. He resides on the rooftop, forcing me to climb a rickety ladder. Up there, large tents and shaky septums cast patches of shade against the sweltering heat. Seated at an improvised desk made from stacked wooden crates, I find a young man, slender, dark-haired, dressed in a simple tunic and wearing half-moon glasses.
Need neither smoke, nor food, nor wine, nor women. Not now, not later, not ever. I'm sure I already mentioned that.
I'm told you might need this, straight from the Magistrate of Tax Collection in Torzag's shelter, if you are Leviantus, that is.
I am indeed, and you are.
I introduce myself while handing him the document.
Finally, things do seem to move along. What an utterly unexpected surprise. Ah, and thank you.
He quickly seems to forget my presence. At first, he reads with enthusiasm, but soon, a jaded look of disappointment settles on his face.
Splendid, just splendid. Now there's the imperial bureaucracy in full swing as I know it, reliably incompetent as ever. Good job, you cretins, top of the line indeed. Whether you encountered a Slarad bull during mating season and...
I interrupt his monologue and remind him of my presence with a clearing of my throat.
You are still here. Was there something you wanted? But of course, I am to pay you the fee for delivery. Forgive me. It's just that I have a lot on my mind, and this piece of moronic writing certainly didn't help to diminish any of it. But that's not your fault, is it now? Thank you again. Say, friend, am I right to assume that you're quite a traveler? Of course. Would you care to take me with you as a passenger in case you have plans to visit Lumen anytime soon? For a more than fair compensation, of course. As it turns out, I must leave Arken earlier than expected and return to my employer.
Only if the price is right.
Good. Thank you. At least that's one problem out of the way. I shall give you an advance for your troubles right now. The rest you will receive from my employer, Mistress Kandik, as soon as we arrive. Just let me gather my things and cancel my stay here with that weed-breathing hag downstairs. I promise not to be a burden.
With an advance payment, we have no choice but to set course for Lumen. I leave Gor'Goro to escort our new passenger back to the Comitatus, while I go to negotiate some goods. The demand for marble in Torzag is remarkable. I take the opportunity to close 3 deals, securing shipments of marble to both Torzag and Lumen.